This project involved 8 of my legacy Triumph facilities, and so I've been involved from the start at Clear Lake. It's been an amazing experience because it was a huge project, very ambitious to roll out. By the time it's over, we will have 8 of our former Triumph buildings that are up on ProTouch within 12 weeks, which is just incredible to me. So the thing that I think was most impressive to me was the precision of the team. I'm someone who loves to see efficiency, and I saw great efficiencies and planning that was just amazing. I found them to be flexible at the same time. We have different needs in different buildings. We started out at the largest building, Clear Lake, and the next rollout was also a large building as well. And I saw the team's willingness to adjust to the training needs of the facility, and in my opinion, adjust to the emotional needs of the building. That probably sounds strange, but these Triumph facilities have been through a lot in the last year. Being integrated into a completely new company, new processes, new policies, and it's almost like change shock, if you will. So rolling out an electronic medical record was a huge change for them, and I saw the willingness of the team to change out resources if needed to meet those emotional needs, not only educational but emotional needs. The thing that I loved was to see how these trainers build a team and really instill a sense of ownership and empowerment in the super users, so that we saw leaders rise up in each of these buildings, leaders who taking the charge to get physicians online with physician order entry, and it was just an amazing thing that happened here. And I'm going to miss, I think, all of the involvement that I've had with this implementation team, because I found every one of them to be completely supportive and so customer service focused. I mean, they actually live out what our customer service goals are, I think, as an organization, and trying to meet the needs of the customers, physicians, staff, regional needs. It's just been a very good experience for me.
I had a good experience with the training with ProTouch. Overall, it's a very easy system to use. I think it's very physician user-friendly, and you're able to access information quickly and readily. So I think it'll all lead to better, access to patient care. They also set us up with a remote portal, which we can download onto our laptop or an iPad or iPhone, so that that's very good for physicians in terms of being able to access their patient information when they're not in the hospital. I really enjoyed the ProTouch training. The training team was excellent. We had a training coordinator named Tony, and she was very friendly. You could ask her a lot of questions, and she went through the training very methodically. And so it made it very easy for us as the users to understand the system.
This year we've implemented more systems than we ever have before. I believe the last year, the biggest year that we've had in the past was 8 systems, or 8 facilities. This year we did 20, which is a huge increase. That comes with its own set of challenges, and not only challenges with just the vast number of places that we've gone into, but also the fact that they're new facilities. They have a totally different culture than what our hospitals have had in the past, and with that culture comes new learning, new systems that they hadn't heard of, all the different systems that we had in the past. They didn't know the benefits or the pain points. So going into those environments had to be challenging. In certain markets we had users that didn't understand the power of our systems, or didn't understand both the strengths and weaknesses, and so they'd bump against those weaknesses and kind of have some issues. And it wasn't through us that they learned of the strengths, it was through the training department and through the implementations team. It's you guys out on the front line that has done that, that gets to educate them as to how the systems can help them in their daily lives, and how it's been tailored for them for an LTAC market. When we ran across changes in scheduling. You know, we had so many facilities that came live this year, 20 facilities coming live, and oftentimes we would change one facility out for another, or timing from one to another, and that happens so frequently. And you gear up so many teams and bring up so many things to go live at a specific time, and then if that has to move or something else gets in its place, it becomes a real juggling act.
This year, as in years past, I have worked on the soft lab implementation for the hospital division. However, this year it was different than we've done in the past, is that in that soft lab went live the same day and the same time as ProTouch. Therefore, it caused our team to think a little bit outside the box in order to allow the successful implementation of lab at the same time as ProTouch, where lots of things had to work a little bit differently to ensure a successful go live for the building.
The application of wrist packs accompanied the ProTouch rollout and dealt with the facility's radiology department. Beginning 6 weeks prior to go live, the implementations team partnered with development and clinical operations to assist in the transition to the new wrist pack system. We provided on-site training the week before go live and supported the site throughout the conversion process.
RxConnect is the pharmacy system that we've implemented at 16 facilities this year in conjunction with ProTouch. It's an 8-week process that we go through working with the facility staff, the facility pharmacy staff. The implementation of RxConnect is a huge undertaking on-site and complex. It involves the facility staff working a lot of long hours in conjunction with development here and implementation services on-site. Every patient has to be entered into ProTouch in advance of the ProTouch and RxConnect go live. And then those orders have to be verified on those patients and maintained in both systems until the time that we go live.
For the NOVA project, we are replacing the LifeScan glucose meters that are currently in use with the new NOVA StatStrip glucose meters. We have had a lot of facilities that have already been transferred over to this new device, and they all love it. The result time is quicker. They have a lot more operational efficiency when they're using these meters. We've had a lot of great feedback on our trainers and their commitment to stay on site and make sure that everything is taken care of and that everyone has been trained appropriately.
It was a massive rollout, obviously a huge project for us, and critically important from a cash flow standpoint for the company, and we can't avoid any hiccups, obviously, as we implement those types of systems. So we put a lot of emphasis on it, and I think the field view and perspective is it went well. I think there were some things learned along the way in the phases, so that as we got further into the project, it went smoother and smoother, but a relatively quiet and very successful implementation, I think.
Meditech was a project that I'm pretty proud of. The task was to turn it from traditional-based, what it was, PowerPoint training, into more of an activity-based approach. The trainers and I got together and we really wanted to build this as a team. We broke it all the way down from the beginning, and we built facilitator guides, learner books, work instructions, and we changed the entire way that the training is done.
For the upgrade, the team put their heads together to come up with the training strategy for it. We implemented this in Phoenix, and we trained it to 10 users, and the business was there, Missy Pockrass and Ted Rake, who also helped develop the materials, and 2 of the trainers. And it was a hit. People loved it, they enjoyed it, they really were able to get into the system.
Not only did they learn the content, but we did it in a new way with activities to where they were engaged and they were actually participating in the class. And it tended to work, it really worked out well. We have gotten praise like you wouldn't believe.
The activities drove the learning, so it was very engaging and it just flowed perfectly. And it was just a huge success. And one of my trainings, several of the girls, they would say, that was the best training ever, and they want to take your picture with them, and they just have fun. I mean, going to training sometimes with people laughing and smiling and competing.
IntelliOrder is the perpetual inventory system that the hospital division uses to manage their supply costs. This is an upgrade. This is the third iteration. We've been working with implementations to do a full training package to cover this for not only existing users of the application, but also for new users as well. And Brandon has really been a good trainer for us. He's not only articulate, he's also interested in the product. He's tried to learn as much as he can so that during the training sessions, he can handle as many questions that come up as possible. And also, he's got a good feel for the system, so I think he comes across as being having a level of expertise with the system that gives the field a little bit more comfort as they're training on the new application.
Brandon Pipkin, Systems Training Specialist on the IntelliOrder project. By the end of this year, we'll have over 20 sites up and running on the IntelliOrder system. The business has been pleased with the direction that things have gone and the way that we've been able to roll that out. Jim and Katie on the development team have done a fabulous job producing materials, getting the e-learning course built and put together. Great collaboration all the way around, good communication, people pushing through, working with the vendor to get answers.
In 2012, I also worked on the Moves, Add, and Changes projects, which essentially we had 4 relocations of LTAC hospitals, 3 LTACs and 1 IRF that physically moved from a HIH within a host hospital to a freestanding building. In addition to that, we also had several refurbishment projects that happened at several hospitals across the country where they would build out an additional floor within a host hospital to add beds or relocate beds from another hospital within that area. Charleston was a very unique relocation this year. It was the first time that Kindred has taken a hospital and moved it from one location to another, as well as implemented and went live with ProTouch and all other Kindred clinical systems on the day of the relocation, and it went very smoothly.
One of our keys to success was having a firm game plan before we went into the facility. And the way we did that was we would do an on-site survey, bring that information back, review that with development and our teams here, and then we would determine exactly what systems we were going to replace. Then we would go into the facility and do an executive briefing where we would tell the site leadership exactly what we were going to replace. So they knew exactly which PCs were going to be replaced, what systems were going to be replaced, and then what systems would remain there until we came back through and implemented ProTouch. It made for a smooth transition and an easier work week as the orange shirts went on site and knew exactly what they were going to execute on.
This is also especially helpful us doing these configurations ourselves for large rollouts such as our PC obsolescence project and was very key with the rehab care transition last year where we went through and replaced the legacy equipment with Kindred supported devices, which allowed those facilities to be able to function like any other Kindred building with Kindred devices that were supported and that functioned properly, which was a huge benefit to those facilities.
Well, as you know, we're rolling out point-click care across the country in our transitional care centers, our high acuity centers. So all of those centers have a lot of physicians. Some of them have only 1 or 2 physicians who see most of the patients. Others have 7, 8, 9, 10 physicians who might be coming in and out, seeing a handful of patients. And the electronic medical record is really a nursing medical record for the nursing center division. The goal was to create something that was short but personable, little web clips or little video clips of how to get something done. So when you had a little downtime, you could go on a menu and you could sort of learn tricks of the trade that you didn't know and do your work more efficiently. Part of the mission was to make sure that a physician sees another physician talking to them about these issues. And I think it came across pretty well. It was relaxed and direct. It wasn't too long. But it's important that if I bump into somebody and they say, what is there for me to help me navigate this computer system in your center, I can point them now to the video and say, check out the video that gives you some background, and then you can look at the little clips to learn how to build a patient list, put in an order, etc.
With the point-click care project, we cabled 104 buildings. We rolled out point-click care to 84 of those centers, and we rolled out point of care to 23 of those centers. We installed wireless throughout every building. One of the big benefits is that the computers on wheels could go throughout the buildings without losing signal. We installed 1,217 pieces of equipment for the PCC and POC projects. That was 1.5 weeks out of every month we had technicians out installing equipment. And then finally training, we trained over 7,850 people. The big challenge here is that when these trainers go into the centers, they have computer experts, but they also have people that have never touched a computer at all. I think 2012 was a really good success for PCC. I'm proud of how everybody worked together as a team, from the cabling to the technicians to the trainers, to make everything that we accomplished in 2012 happen, and I look forward to 2013.
The goal of the project was to implement Abacus, the use of Abacus across the division, to improve survey results. We sent the iPads out to over 200 facilities. All of the executive directors were to set the iPad up and then distribute the iPad as they felt appropriate for whoever used it in the building to do the Abacus surveys. It allowed for the electronic capture of information to improve operational efficiency. Our implementation services role in this rollout was to ensure that all the iPads were received by the facilities, and that each executive director was able to set up their iPad successfully. So we made follow-up calls and ensured they had the correct setup documentation, configuration documentation for their iPads.
We had a need to come up with some virtual training tools because we were not able to get all of our clinical liaisons together this year as frequently as we had in years past. So we needed to put together some key selling skills instruction in a video format so that all the CLs throughout the nation could take advantage of that. So what we needed was a role play scenario where we could bring in one of the local CLs and stage a common interaction that occurs in a hospital setting. And we did that to stage a scenario with a referral source like a case manager and a clinical liaison, as well as a patient and family interaction, so that we could illustrate how the new digital sales application would work in either of those scenarios. So we had not been able to train the application in person. So while we had some great material that they could learn about the app virtually, we really needed the video to give the full view into how you would position yourself with that individual, how you navigate, what your presence is with the app, those type of things. Working with the team was great. Basically, we explained what our business need was, and they helped us put together the best way to get that across. What we might want to think about staging, what we might want to think about scripting. They also helped us with the best way to get the information from the clinical liaison. You know, they're not used to being filmed for instructional videos. They're not trainers. So they were able to put her at ease and to help us figure out the best way to get the most authentic representation of the scenario.
One of the projects I focused on this year was the home care and hospice acquisitions. There were 4 major acquisitions in approximately 80 locations. Our goal was to implement the Kindred network and infrastructure in these buildings, as well as Kindred systems. These implementations are challenging in that they do not allow for a cookie-cutter approach. We have to tailor each implementation to meet the specific business needs of the acquisition.
It was a brand new project in 2012. Development did an alpha and beta test for 2 facilities. We were able to roll that out to an additional 18 facilities for a total of 20 facilities that received the application this year. We worked very closely with the development groups as well as security to ensure that when the users received their devices and training began, that they would be able to successfully move from a paper charting method to an electronic method.
Our rollout was great. We completed those sites. Now we're ready to move on with working with IntegraCare. We are working with those trainers and working very well, I will say, learning our new instance, incorporating hospice as well. So when we roll out in 2013, that's going to be hopefully just as successful as our Ohio sites.
As a project manager for implementation services, change was the most evident factor in 2012. The most prominent change across the rehab division and throughout the organization was the introduction of a non-kindred network that required host facility IT approvals. Process changes were implemented in order to migrate and integrate these systems within the kindred environment. Our department partnered with development and operations to help provide support for this unique infrastructure. Communication was a key component of this groundbreaking synergy. Collaboration between all internal and external IT teams was critical to the success of the overall project. Our technicians installed over 700 iPods to approximately 45 ARU sites across the nation. The training was conducted on-site and often resulted in an additional week of coverage to help support their go-live on the SMART application. Despite the variety of challenges, the transition was flawless thanks to all the teams involved.
One of the fun challenges that we had is in the e-learning, we wanted to really engage the student right from the bat. So we created videos for it, an introduction video and a navigation video in the beginning. We set up a studio with Zach and shot it on green screen and then put in Photoshop backgrounds. It really, it worked out great. And I think the product speaks for itself.
Most people are aware of implementation services for project management, for training, our red shirts, our orange shirts that are in the field. But some may not be aware that our group also has responsibility for configuration of all new PCs, laptops, and even handheld devices that go into our facilities in the field and to the support center. Last year alone, our team configured nearly 13,000 devices. So quite a big number, quite a huge accomplishment. And we do this with a very minimal staff that's located at our configuration center. Configuring these devices on our own, using our own internal staff, has really increased the quality of making sure that configurations are right and that what is actually needed is what actually gets to the field. And it also has greatly improved our flexibility and our ability to respond to the business if there is a specific need, that we can quickly change pace or change course or quickly ramp up units and get devices in the field where they're needed to the caregivers quickly with very minimal challenges or direction. Another great component of our implementation services team are our cabling teams. The red shirts is what they're commonly referred to as, and they do a great job in our facilities doing infrastructure work, upgrading cabling or cabling a new facility that we've acquired that we need to put in the kindred infrastructure. Recently at one of our facilities, Oklahoma City, the CEO there made a statement that really resonated with me, and he said, "Your team was like surgeons operating on our facility." He spoke to the precision of the team and how well they functioned and how it is a very intrusive process, just like surgery, where they really do have to kind of pull back everything and really dig into the core of the building to upgrade that infrastructure. Another members of our implementation services team are the PC technicians, or the orange shirts as they're lovingly referred to. That is a group of our team technicians that will go into a facility and help install PCs, printers, devices. The great thing about the orange shirts, and one of the primary focuses with our orange shirt staff, is really the customer service perspective of it. They are really focused on customer service first, and the technical aspects of their position or their job second. We want to make sure that, since they are many times the only representative that someone may see from our IT organization in their building, that we really show them that and focus on how much we care about what they have to do, and that we want to make sure that they have the tools necessary to do their job. So whether we're coming in to install new PCs as a part of the obsolescence projects, or if this is a new acquisition and these are staff that's new to Kindred and we want to show them Kindred and who we are, they are a great segue into an introduction to the Kindred environment. They really focus on doing what's right for the building and making sure that they have what they need to function from an IT standpoint.
We are responsible to coordinate travel, hotel, cars, for trainers, PC techs, cablers, management, as they visit and do installations at various Kindred facilities. 2012 was an interesting year for logistics. We almost tripled the number of people that we had in our department, which means we had over close to 220 people that we had to coordinate travel for. We, I would say, roughly booked anywhere between 18,000 to 20,000 flights. Because if you think about it, for every technician that you had, they had multiple sites. You had trainers who were going multiple locations. And you might have teams of, for a ProTouch exactly, you might have 3 or 4 trainers going down to each site.
This year I've worked on the new hire orientation project. And currently down at the service center, about once a month, they have a class for this new hire orientation, and people come in from different areas and travel. With turning this into e-learning, we can see a considerable savings from the travel that won't be necessary anymore. The challenge with this was a lot of the information that's presented are statistics from the different divisions, workplace policy, bullet points, etc. So this information can be a bit dry. So the challenge was to try and make this as interesting as possible, and we did that through improved graphics, refining them, adding animation to them, kind of bringing those statistics to life a little bit. One part in particular was the interactivity, and with the dress code, we gave them an opportunity to make selections on the dress code. They got responses from the entries that they made, and it made it a lot of fun. And it wasn't just fun for the people, I think, who are going to be taking the course. It was a lot of fun for us to develop that and to have the ability to be creative in developing that type of material.